My name's Alex, and at 28, I'm just a junior astronomer at a small observatory perched in the jagged peaks of the Colorado Rockies. It's a life of quiet obsession, nights spent hunched over telescopes, charting the cosmos' vast, uncaring expanse, while the world below slumbers in ignorance. The observatory is an old, creaking relic, its dome groaning like a dying beast under the infinite weight of the night sky, echoes that sometimes whisper of a distant, alien hunger gnawing at the edges of reality. My days dissolve into a monotonous haze, sifting through spectral data, scribbling in faded journals, and sipping lukewarm coffee from a thermos scarred by years of neglect. It's not glamorous, no Nobel Prizes or TED Talks here. Just the relentless grind of unraveling the universe's secrets, one faint signal at a time. But that insatiable curiosity, it's been my gift and my curse since childhood, when I'd lie in my suburban Ohio backyard, gazing up beyond the streetlights, dreaming of worlds that whispered back in the dark. My parents dismissed it as a phase. My ex-girlfriend Lisa said it was why I could never commit to anything earthly. Maybe she was right. The stars never abandon you, but they don't love you back. They just pull you deeper into their cold, empty embrace. It began during the Perseid meteor shower last August, one of those rare celestial spectacles where the sky erupts in a frenzy of fleeting, fiery streaks. The air was crisp, laced with the sharp tang of pine and the acrid whisper of distant wildfires, and the observatory hummed with artificial excitement. Tourists and locals crowded the main deck, their faces upturned, murmuring in hushed awe as bolts of light slashed through the velvet void. I could hear their oohs and ahs echoing like a mocking chorus, but the noise grated on me, a static haze drowning the night's raw purity. I needed solitude, so I slipped away, hiking a narrow ridge trail that snaked through shadowed evergreens, my boots crunching on gravel and brittle needles. The path was steep, my breaths coming in ragged puffs that fogged the chill air, but the isolation invigorated me. Untethered from the drudgery of grants and deadlines, I felt truly alive, adrift in the universe's silent vastness. I settled on a flat rock, the cold stone biting through my jeans as I raised my binoculars and scanned the heavens. The meteors danced predictably at first, brief flares of ionized gas incinerating in the atmosphere, remnants of Comet Swift-Tuttle's ancient, decaying tail. Each one was a grim reminder of cosmic impermanence, a spark of annihilation veiled as beauty. I lost myself in the rhythm, neck craned back, eyes stinging from the strain. Then, one shattered the pattern. A rogue streak, unnaturally bright and alarmingly close, as if it had veered with malevolent intent, aimed straight at me. It didn't arc with grace. It plunged like a predator, a glowing ember trailing sparks that hissed through the wind like venomous serpents. My heart seized as it hurtled downward, swelling in size, the air thrumming with an electric charge that prickled my skin and raised the hair on my arms. I barely scrambled to my feet before it slammed into the ground mere meters away, erupting in a cascade of dirt and luminous dust. The impact rattled the ridge, and I staggered back, shielding my eyes from the searing flash. But it was too late. Tiny shards, like jagged slivers of cosmic glass, peppered my face. They burrowed into my skin with a venomous sting, but the true torment pierced my eyes. A razor-sharp lance of electricity that seared through my corneas like molten acid. I collapsed to my knees, clutching my face, the world tilting in a vortex of agony and lingering after-images, as if the stars themselves had clawed into my soul. When the spots finally faded, and I blinked away the tears streaming down my cheeks, the world had twisted into something otherworldly. At first, it was euphoric, an intoxicating rush that set my veins ablaze with forbidden exhilaration. Visions layered over my sight like ghostly veils, glimpses of parallel universes bleeding into the real, seeping through the cracks like ink into water. They weren't mere hallucinations. They pulsed with tangible life, as if the cosmos had peeled back its skin to reveal writhing secrets beneath. In one, I saw myself as a celebrated explorer on an alien world, encased in a sleek spacesuit, trudging across crimson dunes under twin suns that scorched the air, the sand murmuring ancient, eldritch secrets of long-extinct civilizations. The thrill of discovery was a drug, far surpassing the hollow drudgery of my real work. Another cast me as a rock-star captain on a colossal starship stage, bathed in golden spotlights amid swirling nebulae. The crowd's frenzied adoration and the engine's hum crashing over me like a tidal wave of raw ecstasy, vibrating through my bones like a predator's growl. Colors bloomed in hues unknown to our spectrum, pulsing with amplified emotions that bordered on madness. My pulse thundered, a manic grin splitting my face despite the residual burn in my eyes. Yet beneath the ecstasy, a faint unease slithered, like a shadow skittering in my peripheral vision with a low growl of thunder on a starless night. A cold nibble at my edges, as if some abysmal maw were tasting my essence. I dismissed it as adrenaline, the aftershock of the strike. After all, what astronomer wouldn't sacrifice everything for such an intimate glimpse into the universe's great heart? The allure was insidious, coiling around me like a serpent I couldn't shake. Back in my cramped apartment in the nearby town, a dingy one-bedroom cluttered with star charts and crumpled takeout boxes, I'd gaze out the window at the night sky, and the visions would unfurl, unbidden, blooming like poisonous flowers. They became my secret refuge, more vivid than my tedious life of rejected papers, endless grant applications, and the echoing silence of empty hallways. One recurring vision painted me married to Lisa in a sunlit suburban yard, our children laughing as they chased fireflies under a canopy of mocking stars. I could feel the phantom warmth of her hand, Smell the fresh-cut grass laced with a faint, rotting undercurrent. Hear the brittle joy in her voice, echoes of what I'd forsaken for the cosmos' cold pool. These weren't daydreams. They hijacked my senses, swelling my heart with a counterfeit happiness that gnawed at my core. The nibble sharpening into a whisper from the void, urging me deeper. I began seeking them out, ditching work to sprawl on the ridge at dusk. Eyes locked on the heavens, pursuing that elusive high like an addict chasing oblivion. I tried confiding in friends over beers at the local dive bar, a dimly lit pit with sticky floors and a perpetual fog of stale cigarette smoke. Mark, my burly colleague from the observatory, with his eternal 5 o'clock shadow, and Zelda, a freelance journalist who joined a few stargazing outings, were my only real anchors. We'd cram into a booth, the jukebox wheezing old country laments, and I'd lean in, voice quivering with fervor. Guys, it's like peering into what could have been, alternate lives, parallel universes. That meteor dust, it changed me. Mark chuckled, slapping my back, his grin flickering oddly, elongating like a shadow stretched by unseen light. Astronomer burnout, Alex. Too many nights staring into the void. Zelda's brow creased, her eyes glinting with worry as she nursed her pint. But then she leaned closer, voice dropping. I've dug into old reports. Similar cases. Stargazers hit by starstruck madness, vanishing into rants about dream thieves from the cosmos. Creepy stuff, Alex. You should see a doctor. Their faces blurred at the edges, Mark's teeth glinting like fractured stars. Zelda's gaze multiplying into chittering shadows that whispered doubts. The skepticism stung. Their laughter strained as they edged away, leaving me with the growing itch of paranoia. The void's murmur echoing in my ears like interstellar famine. Subtle distortions slithered in gradually, insidious as fog creeping down the mountains, choking the light. At first, these were mere fringes, real-world edges blurring like smeared ink, colors bleeding into grotesque, unnatural blends. Driving the winding road from the observatory one twilight, the asphalt twisted impossibly, guardrails melting like wax under an unseen flame. I'd shake my head, blaming exhaustion, but the dread clung like damp rot, accompanied by faint auditory hallucinations, whispers from the abyssal maw, hissing my name in alien tongues. Dreams morphed into endless nightmares, pursuits through fractured landscapes where the ground liquefied like quicksand and shadows pursued with mechanical hunger. I'd wake, drenched in sweat, sheets coiling around me like tendrils, my body leaden with a draining fatigue that burrowed into my marrow, as if some entity were leeching my vitality drop by insidious drop. Mornings were wars. I'd slump over stacks of printouts at my desk, only to jolt awake from clinging horrors, echoes of otherworldly shrieks reverberating in my skull. My mirror reflection grew skeletal, dark circles blooming like bruises under eyes that gleamed too brightly, too voraciously. Still, I pursued the high, blind to the warnings, the headaches throbbing like imploding stars, food turning to ash on my tongue, the deepening isolation as friends' calls faded into silence, leaving me adrift in a void of my own making. It escalated with terrifying speed, a spiral that corroded my sanity like acid-devouring flesh. The visions invaded relentlessly, no longer euphoric but tyrannical, commandeering every moment. Faces warped into abominations during mundane encounters, strangers' features melting into yawning abysses from other realms, eyes clicking with insectoid famine. I'd recoil, heart hammering in primal terror, familiar spaces contorted into nightmares, my apartment hallway stretching into an infinite labyrinth, walls throbbing like living tissue, shadowed veins pulsing beneath flaking paint. The air thickened with ozone and decay, as if the building inhaled my fear. Paranoia gnawed ceaselessly, an itch burrowing under my skin. Sleep evaded me entirely, convinced the thing in my eyes watched, waited, a frigid presence squatting in my skull. That's when the truth clawed through. It wasn't a gift, but a parasite, a psychic leech embedded in my retinas, gorging on my dreams to sustain its interstellar hunger. Each vision was lure, ensnaring me while it hollowed my subconscious, leaving me a desiccated shell. Nights bled into days. I'd barricade the door with furniture, peering through curtains at the uncaring town, doubting my own existence. Was I still Alex, the stargazer, or merely a conduit for pilfered realities, a marionette jerked by threads of malevolent light? Desperation propelled me to self-surgery, a frenzied blood-soaked ritual for freedom. The bathroom was a dim crypt, mirror fogged by my heaving breaths. The fluorescent bulb buzzing like a horde of unseen insects. I clutched a sterilized scalpel from my first aid kit, its blade winking coldly in the light. Hands quaking, sweat stinging my eyes, resolve solidified like ice in my veins. Just end it, I rasped to my warped reflection, its eyes swirling with unholy hues. I pried at my eyelids with trembling fingers, the blade slicing flesh, blood surging hot and viscous, trailing down my cheeks like inky tears. Agony detonated, a white-hot inferno. But I delved deeper, breaching the barrier, and there, in the crimson fog, I glimpsed its true form. Not dust, not a benign fragment, but an ancient interstellar abomination, a squirming knot of tentacles and voids blacker than the gulfs between stars. A nomadic devourer. It roamed infinite realities, reaping souls like overripe fruit, siphoning dreams to fuel its insatiable emptiness, abandoning husks to drift in eternal famine. The revelation fractured me, trapping me in loops of stolen nightmares, myself dissolving like vapor under a pitiless sun. I was no longer Alex, but a mote in its cosmic snare, as trivial as stardust adrift in the abyss. With one desperate surge of will, I inverted the flow, feeding it not dreams but the raw abyss of my despair, a devouring black hole that consumed from within. It convulsed, tentacles lashing in agony, and with a psychic wail that reverberated across realities, it ruptured, hurling me back into my ravaged form. The visions evaporated, leaving only the harsh metallic tang of blood and the sterile white walls of the psych ward on the town's fringes, where they carted me after. Months blur in therapy sessions and medication rounds, the void lingering like a shadow I can't outrun. I've started talking again, piecing together fragments of my old life. Friends who visit with pitying eyes. A job I might reclaim if I'm deemed stable. Yet, in the quiet hours, under the fluorescent hum, I feel it stirring. Not the entity, but something born from its absence. The emptiness it carved has become a hunger of my own, an insatiable craving for others' fears and fantasies. I wander the halls at night, whispering to patients, siphoning their dreams with a touch, a glance, filling the hollow with echoes that aren't mine. As another meteor blazes across the sky beyond the barred window, a grotesque rictus twists my lips. Not a smile, but the involuntary grin of corruption. The entity didn't die. It evolved, passing its legacy to me, the perfect host. Now I am the web, the abyssal maw, the flame that draws the moths. The nurses notice nothing, but soon they'll dream my dreams, and the cycle spins anew, with me at its center, no longer insignificant stardust, but the devourer of worlds.